Welcome to the Mission Advancement Podcast, where we attempt to address the stigmas around nonprofit fundraising through the lens of the power of relationships. Your mission is worth advancing, and we're here to help you fund your mission for good. Welcome, everyone. This is an exciting day for us at Mission Advancement because we get to announce that we are formally launching the Mission Advancement Podcast.
It's been a long time coming.
It sure has,
We're
Lacey.
excited.
We're excited that we're here. And, you may have heard of us. You may have seen us on webinars. You may have seen us when you attended one of our workshops, conferences. We make our rounds around those as well, the nonprofit world. And you may have seen us sitting behind our tidy little table with our beautiful display behind us. But we really believe that one of the things that is good stewardship on our part, if you would, is to share what we've learned.
Absolutely.
And that's really the impetus of this podcast,
Yeah.
is to be a resource to people that we've met who are doing really important work in the nonprofit world. And we get to share a little bit about what we're hearing, what we're seeing, what the trends are, what people are telling us they want to know more about. And so this is an exciting day.
Yeah, we're really excited. Each week we're going to come to you with a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about different things from, board engagement to events to, capital campaigns to planning studies. When do you need to do this? When do you need to do that? What are best practices? Some of the myths we might debunk, but truly, I think what we're going to end up talking about is relationships.
Absolutely, because it always comes down to that, right?
Right? That's what we do on a daily basis is we foster relationships so that they can lead to generous giving for our clients.
That's right.
Yeah.
So speaking of relationships, Lacey, folks probably want to know
Who are
is
we?
it? Who is it that's sharing with them every week, right? By the way, these will be weekly, released on Mondays. So look for those, subscribe, follow.
Yeah, we'll be on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and then also on our website at missionadvancement.com. You'll be able to find each episode on Mondays when they drop, but then you can always go back and, binge them all on a weekend.
Beautiful. So tell us a little bit about you,
Yeah.
Lacey, your journey, your story,
Love
how you
it.
ended up with Mission Advancement.
Absolutely. So I'm Lacey Young, Assistant Vice President here at Mission Advancement, and I'm in my 8th year here, which is amazing.
Wow.
I have been in the nonprofit world for about 15 years and had been at a couple of different schools and some social service agencies. And then 8 years ago, came upon Mission Advancement and always loved to teach. I always loved to be able to help out my fellow colleagues in the development space who were stuck. And I love seeing light bulb moments with people.
Yeah,
and I
those are
knew
great.
that being a consultant was where I was really going to be able to use those skills. And having been with Mission Advancement for this many years, starting off as a consultant, growing in my career with the company, but I've met so many different types of organizations and so many different types of leaders and helped them raise millions of dollars or just who's our next board chair or what do we do about our gala? From little tiny problems to huge problems, we're able to sit there and work with our clients to really make a difference.
And those little things are important.
Oh, they
and by
are.
the way, speaking of light bulb moments, I've been with you on occasions where you've shared things and I've seen those light bulb moments in our clients. And so it's really cool. You do that really well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little about you. And we've known each other for a long time.
Long time.
What's your journey, Angel?
So we met years ago, even before I was a part of Mission Advancement. I started my career in the nonprofit world really in consulting years ago.
Yeah.
And got to do that and worked with some great organizations over the years. And in 2013, I had the opportunity to take about a 9-year hiatus and move into actually being a practitioner. And I'll tell you, that's given me a great appreciation for what we do.
Absolutely.
Because it's so awesome to be having been on that other side and know what it feels like to be someone who is in that daily grind of fundraising and development. To be on this side now and know, hey, this is how I felt when I was in it.
Right.
But got to do that at a local private Christian school and loved it. Had a great team and got to see like the value that development brings to an organization when it comes to, its mission.
Absolutely.
And then had the opportunity to reconnect with Mission Advancement. And I've known Skylar and Jennifer Lehman, our founders, for many years. And when the opportunity came about, I was like, this is good. This is exciting. And it's been so much fun to be back on this side now.
Right.
Because we really do believe that there's a responsibility that we have to share what we know and invest in those important organizations that we get to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, for those of you who don't know us, who haven't, met us at a conference or seen one of our webinars in the past. Let's talk a little bit more about who Mission Advancement is and what we do and how we serve people. What are the kind of the main areas that we work in? And then we'll talk a little about who we work with and how we do it. So let's just start off with, who's Mission Advancement?
Yeah. So we were founded in 2007, as I said earlier, by Skylar and Jennifer Lehman. And, there's a lot of firms that do what we do. But I really believe that one of the things we do differently is that we really focus on what that experience looks like for the donor.
Right.
So donor-centric fundraising.
Absolutely.
And what a phrase we use a lot, transformational donor experiences. And if you break that down, that's such an exciting opportunity that we have to help our clients do really well, because that's where the magic happens for the donor.
Yeah.
Our sweet spot are nonprofits that are really in the human service space, ministries, private schools. We work with a lot of different organizations and pretty eclectic group of, folks that we get to work with, but all of them are doing important work, and all of them value the relationships that they have with their donors. And so we get to come alongside of them and help them do that even better,
right,
and maybe tighten up the things that they're already doing well.
Right. I love it. You said it before, like it's our responsibility, right?
It is.
When we think back to when you were a practitioner, when I was director of advancement at a school, and having that feeling of, I think I need help, but not saying, oh, I'm not doing my job right.
Exactly.
It's kind of a sign of, that's a good sign to say, hey, I need some help.
It is. And it's always good to have somebody who's on the outside, who's not caught up in the daily emotion and all the, tangential things that are involved in being on the spot.
Right.
To have someone with clear vision that says, you may not see this, but here's something you could do a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so really that's what this is a part of, whether it's our workshops, webinars, conferences that we speak at, or this podcast. It's an opportunity to reinforce things that many of our clients and friends out there in the nonprofit world already do.
Right.
But it's a reminder and then maybe an encouragement to say, here's maybe a different way to look at it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Or a layer to add to what you're doing that can help you take it to another level.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets exciting for us, because they're all doing good and important work. And so those are the organizations that we tend to work with.
Yeah.
Organizations ask us to partner with them for a variety of reasons. Some need help with their annual funding, their operational fundraising. Some are moving into major capital campaigns and they need to do feasibility planning studies, and we help them with that. We help them with capital campaigns, team building, board training, really anything that has to do with the world of nonprofit and the way that they engage with their stakeholders is what we bring to the table in terms of our service lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, when we're working with, if it's a faith-based organization, if it's a human service agency that they met us maybe from somebody else, right? And we have this connection. That relationship piece is really important for us of who we work with. And like you mentioned before, we kind of have this sweet spot where we know where we are able to succeed and we can see movement in organizations that are really making a difference in the world. And I think that's so important. And, there's a couple of things that I think are unique and exciting about who Mission Advancement is when it comes to that.
Yeah,
and
please talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's our culture. And having been here for so many years, seeing what our culture is, we are who we say we are, and we bring such a unique perspective, and we know that our methodology that we use of relationship-based fundraising is going to be the glue that holds any of the services you just mentioned together, be it a campaign, even be it a board training, right?
That's right.
A grant strategy. Relationships are everything. And so our culture, we are relationship-based purists. We always kind of joke around and say that all the time, but that's who we are.
Right.
And so when we take who we are, right, and we apply our methodology and we work with clients who really want to learn and want to grow and they have a need, that's the biggest thing. And I think that sometimes they don't think they have a need, right? And so we can actually help them figure out, well, how can we be doing something a little bit better or different? Or maybe you haven't tapped into the full, resources that you have available in your donor base. The last thing that I love, and we have a great team. And we have people who have been, like you said, we've both been practitioners. We have people on our team who have been heads of schools, executive directors of nonprofits, board members at other nonprofits. And we have years of this collective knowledge and wisdom of other problems that nonprofits have dealt with, but we've done campaigns from $1 million to $500 million.
That's right. Well, and we haven't talked about our core values, but we talk a lot about those
Yeah,
internally.
we could do podcasts on each of the core values one
Yeah.
day. Like,
And stay tuned for more of that.
Yeah.
But one of those core values is humility. And I think, Lacey, that speaks to what you just said about the importance of team. Because no one person on our team has, the full store and the bank of knowledge when it comes to any one topic or any one subject. And you know as well as anyone, there's not a week that goes by that there aren't emails that go out to say, hey, has anyone ever dealt with this situation?
Right.
Or does someone have a resource that I can help a client with
Right.
about this? And our team is willing to share their knowledge and their experience. And I think that's what makes us who we are.
Yeah,
It's part of
absolutely.
our DNA as a
Yeah.
company is that we're not, sole practitioners out there saying, I'm going to hoard my knowledge and just make myself look good. Our team is very willing to say,
Yeah.
whatever I have that I've learned is something that I want to share with the team for the betterment of our clients.
Yeah.
And so that's the spirit of how we operate.
I love it. So what are you most excited about doing this podcast? I mean, we're sitting here, guys, with headphones on. We've got a studio. Angel and I are in our element right now, but what are you most excited about?
Yeah, so
other than the really cool headphones and these fancy mics.
Part of the excitement for me is, where's this going to go?
Right.
You said we're in our element. I don't know. I mean, this is new to me. Maybe
Yeah.
you're a podcaster, extraordinaire, Lacey, but I know I'm not. Put me in front of an audience and I'm very comfortable. Put me in front of a mic and I'm like, what is this thing, right?
Well, you're doing good so far. I think it's good.
Well, thank you. You're gracious. But I'm excited because, as we've talked about a little bit today, for us, it's about being generous with what we've learned. And, organizations hire us to help them do good and important work, and that's wonderful. That's why we exist. But this is a gift in a sense to say, listen, we want to share what we've learned. We want to share what we're hearing out there. We want to share what we've experienced. And that's what I'm excited about, is being able to share that knowledge. And as we learn more about what those needs are from, folks that will hopefully interact with us and say, hey, I enjoyed that episode. Have you thought about this?
Right.
And begin to fill up that bank of, these are topics that we can begin to talk about.
And then I love that we can dive deeper when we're doing a webinar or when we're doing one of our, workshops in person, or if we're doing, if we're speaking at a conference. We've got so many great things we can talk about here, and then we can say, hey, come visit us over here and we'll dive deeper into some topic.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep this short. We want to keep this fun for you guys. We're going to talk a lot about relationships, like I said at the very beginning, because that's what it's all going to tie back to. But when we think of who you are as an organization, your mission is worth advancing. And we say that a lot. And we know that it takes more than just passion and hope. And so we want to help you inspire greater generosity through deeply intentional donor relationships. We don't really push gimmicks. I mean, we like events.
Right.
We don't really love events, but we'll talk about that in an episode. But we want there to be one-on-one connection with your donors so that you are putting people first, right? You are building those relationships, because we know for certain that building relationships leads to impact that lasts.
That's right.
And that's what we want to do at the end of the day.
That's right. And it outlasts everything. And we can spend another podcast or two talking about what did we learn through the pandemic about
Right.
the way that organizations deal with their donors. And the ones that did well are the ones that focused on the relationship.
Yeah.
They couldn't have their events. They couldn't have their gatherings.
Right.
They couldn't take people out to lunches and dinners the way they were. But if they connected with them personally and still maintain that relationship,
Yeah.
they did really, really well.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, as someone that was in that world at that time, it was an eye-opener for me how real that is.
Right.
And so, we drank the Kool-Aid on the whole
Yeah.
relationship-based fundraising, because that's the ticket to
And you guys
success.
succeeded. And that's the thing, is when you put relationships and people first, you will see results.
That's right, because they want you to win.
Right.
They want you to succeed.
Absolutely.
They believe in it. And we
Yeah.
know that all giving is emotional. And the trick is reconnect them to that emotion.
Yeah.
Remind them often of the difference they're making in the world because of their generosity.
Oh.
Do that really well, you have a donor for life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, guys, we're so excited about this. We want you to tune in each Monday. Like I said, find us on our website, find us at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, subscribe to those so you get the notifications, and join us because we want to talk about relationships and how you can fund your mission for good.
Thanks, Lacey.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Mission Advancement Podcast. Be sure to check out our website at missionadvancement.com for additional content. And never forget that your hard work in nonprofit is changing lives every day. Keep funding your missions for good. We'll see you next time.